For more, let's cross now to our senior reporter, Catherine Norris-Trent, who's in Tel Aviv for us. Catherine, with Israeli soldiers now reportedly in Gaza City, it seems we have entered a new phase of this war.
The Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said that the Israeli army was now operating in the heart of Gaza City and tightening the noose around Hamas. The IDF reporting that they've located more Hamas tunnels and have been destroying those. We should point out that Hamas is denying that the IDF has reached the heart of Gaza City and that several of their top commanders have been killed, as we've heard in recent days from Israeli military officials. What we do know, what I can tell you, is that from our sources still inside Gaza City, civilians there, they told us that the last night was one of particularly heavy fighting, aerial bombardment and artillery. The man I heard from said the ground had shaken, and he said he woke up thankful that he was still alive. Now, we know there are still thousands of civilians inside Gaza City. Others have been fleeing. In recent weeks, well over 1 million, perhaps 1.5 million people have fled to the south of Gaza. Israel has repeatedly called on them to do so, saying that the north of Gaza is now a war zone, but some have been too afraid, unwilling or unable to leave because bombs are still also falling in the south of the Gaza Strip as well. But we have seen during pauses on the main road that leads to the south of the Gaza Strip, thousands of people walking down there, heading down on foot, waving white flags, hoping they can make that perilous journey and still remain alive. So a very, very difficult and desperate situation for those civilians, who remain inside the Gaza Strip as this fighting now steps up.
And Catherine, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu this week said that Israel was preparing to control security in Gaza indefinitely once this war is over. Netanyahu also saying that he continues to reject the demands for a ceasefire until all hostages are released from Gaza. All of this not sitting so well with Washington, it should be said.
That's right. The US, the Biden administration and Israel do not seem to be on the same page when it comes to Israel's military action inside Gaza. Now, the US has repeatedly reaffirmed Israel's right to defend itself. What we're hearing now, increasing differences in these diplomatic speeches and pronouncements. Joe Biden, when asked by a reporter whether he had again asked for a pause in the fighting from Netanyahu, replied that yes, he'd brought that up. And you've got Netanyahu here in Israel saying there will be no ceasefire until the hostages are released. And then on this question of what happens next in the weeks, months, perhaps years ahead, once this military offensive is over. Well, Benjamin Netanyahu spoke out to a US television network, gave that interview saying that Israel would have indefinite control of the security situation in Gaza. A spokesman for the White House saying that the US did not think that Israeli occupation of Gaza was the right thing to do. So concern over where this is going, if you read between the diplomatic lines here. The US is under pressure at home from public opinion and elsewhere in the world to put an end to the mass civilian deaths we're seeing in Gaza, but they're also maintaining their support for Israel as well in its right to defend itself.
Catherine, thank you very much.